think your Linux server is safe, it may be running a hidden backdoor. Let's scan for open ports and see what we find. At the bottom, we have the Linux server. You'll see the internet address or the IP address of the server. And to scan the server, we are on the hacker's computer above, and we'll type nmap. This is used to scan for open ports or services with the address. You'll see the server address. And then we scan, for example, the first 2000 ports, the first 2000 connection lines. And you'll see we did a quick scan. And it tells us which network ports are open. So which connection lines or which ports does this computer respond to. So you'll see in this case we have SSH, is for remote connections. We'll have HTTP, web servers. But we also have another one here, 1337, which is the service waste. So let's take a look at that. We'll try to connect to it with telnet. Telnet lets you do command line connections to any port. We say telnet. Then we say O for connect, the address, and the port. So we want to connect to this port. And you'll see it replies with welcome to the evil backdoor shell. List question mark to list commands. So obviously this Linux server is running a backdoor. And we can type Linux commands now. We can control this computer. You'll see we find here important documents and other stuff. So this Linux server below is running a backdoor. We just discovered it. So the way to discover open services or to check if anything you don't want is running on there, you'll simply type with nmap followed by your Linux server IP. So you'll need your Linux server IP. You can get that from your cloud provider if you're running a server in the cloud, or you can use a command like IPAS, and that will return your network devices along with the addresses. So here we did the command IPAS, and you'll see here internet, and then you find this address. So this is the local network server address. And so if you have the server IP, you can scan any server. And in this case, we limit it for 2000 ports just for, because it's really fast. But these ports go way, way up. So you can have 65,000 or so ports. So in this case, we did some quick scan from the first port to 2000. And in that way, we found some open ports. So it might be any of these open ports are exposing a backdoor to your Linux server. And to be sure, you want to scan way beyond the default ports. So you can do -p, or you can do a much larger number, so the maximum number of ports. And you'll see now it's scanning all the possible ports. And in this case, there's only 3 that reply for these open connections. And that's how you can find a backdoor. So if you have nmap, you can also scan from your local computer or from the server itself. You could say nmap, and if it is on the server, you could do localhost. Now keep in mind, if you do just nmap with the IP address, it does a quick scan. It scans the first 1000. So here it looks like there's no backdoor. You'll see this SSH port and HTTP, there's nothing else running. So only the web and standard Linux administration ports, but no backdoor. That is because it only scans the first 1000 ports. But you want to scan way beyond that, because there might be ports, hackers typically use higher port numbers. So what you can do is say nmap localhost -p, and then all the ports you want to scan. So you'll see it can take a while if you pick a large number. And now we discover, hey, there's this hidden backdoor port here. There is something running on this Linux server that we initially didn't see. So you want to make sure to specify the port numbers. So this is -port, starting from the first port to 65,535. And then it scans all the ports and then finds the hidden backdoor. So by default, it didn't find that with an nmap scan. So you want to make sure you do a full scan to detect any possible hidden backdoors on your Linux server. Now, another way to detect a server or a hacker using a backdoor, for example, here the hacker is connections, is to check your network connections. So the hacker is now inside the computer. They can run commands. See, they have this evil backdoor shell. We can check for any network connections on our server computer. So we can say netstat, and we want to see all network connections, TCP connections, and all programs for that. So we type this command and check if there's any network connections. So in this case, we can see that, we see here the different things. So we see TCP protocol, we see the local address, and also where it is connecting to. And what is happening. So if it's just listening or established, any established connection would be used by a backdoor. So in this case, we see a connection to Python 3. So it doesn't literally say backdoor, which is typical. You would see some program name, but you'll see a connection here to some internet address, and then add some unusual ports. So we see here there's 1337 ports. That is the backdoor port. So you can discover this as well using this command netstat-antop, see if there's any unusual connections. And you can actually filter this to see only the established connections. You can say grep established. So that filters the output of these network connections. So you only see the actual connections. And then you'll see right on top there's this backdoor connection with the port 1337. And it turns out that it is a Python program that opens this backdoor on the computer. Now, how can you mitigate this? Well, one possible way is simply killing the process. So one possible way is to kill it. You'll see here this ID, and we simply say kill, and then we add that ID, and it's instantly killed. You'll see the hacker is no longer inside the computer. Connection closed by the foreign host. So now we prevented, or we broke the connection of the hacker that was using this backdoor in the computer. We could simply use this kill command, and we found the connection using this command. Then we killed that connection. Now that doesn't mean that the hacker won't return. Maybe this backdoor automatically starts using a cron job or in bash rc, but the connection right now is killed. So you want to make sure also where this program starts. Did it come from a cron job? Did it come from bash rc or anywhere else? Because we killed the program, but the backdoor program is still on the computer. So you want to find out that as well.